Hey guys, Tisha here, and I want to apologize for my location, but I know I'm not going to have time to do this later, so I said, let me do this while I'm on lunch. Let me start off by saying that something is missing from this cast, and they need to hurry up and figure out what it is. It didn't even quite make sense for this group of people to be going on a trip with Kenya, because most of them I don't even think Kenya really cares for. So they need to work on the cohesiveness. After watching this episode and listening to Monyetta on Candy speak on it, it's clear to me that the producers are creating this edit to favor Marlow, because I don't understand how key components of conversations and things like that are being left out. For example, on Monetta's Speak On It with on Candy's channel, she did it with A1 or something like that. I can't quite remember his DJ handle, but she said that when everything was going on, that even though it didn't seem like it, she warned Kenya. She said that she sent a text message to Kenya about the girls coming to her room, and that they cut out a lot of what led up to that, because the girls were basically bickering about how they felt like Kenya was hiding something, and they were basically trying to pry it out of Monyetta. And Monyetta said that because she promised Kenya she wouldn't say anything, that she was trying to stick to that. I feel like Monyetta should be a peach holder, because there is a lot of backstory to Monyetta, and because she's not a peach holder, there's a lot that we're not seeing. We pick back up with Marlow demanding that Kenya come out, kicking the door, and Sheree is kicking the door as well. Kenya basically yells out, "If you don't stop hitting this door, I'm calling the police." And I'm not a fan of calling the cops, but it got Marlow to get away from the door. Marlow goes off saying that these ladies can't keep talking around, click-clacking, and basically catering to Kenya, but she's not going to do it. She's going to go ahead and go and get herself something to eat. We then hear Monyetta say that she's a grown woman and that everybody is accountable for their own actions. And I feel like there's some part of it that production must have cut off. I know that she was responding to Marlow, but it seemed like a piece of a conversation was missing because it wasn't really flowing. They go back and forth, get in the elevator, go downstairs, and at some point while they're walking out, you can see that Marlow is pushing the door closed in Monyetta's face. And I immediately thought that Monyetta is better than me. There's no way that I would allow that to happen. Then later we see Sheree and Courtney are going to act like it was an accident and they don't remember that happening. Part of my paper, y'all. I did it last night and I was like, let me print this off because there's no way. There's just no way. Okay, so we see Monyetta. She's saying while Marlow is outside fussing and complaining that Marlow goes low every time and says any and everything out of her mouth, but she's not going to stoop to that level. Meanwhile, we see Marlow calling her boring. Courtney follows Marlow outside. The bartender comes and gives Marlow the drink that she previously had ordered, and we see them continue to fuss. Well, not them. We see Marlow continue to fuss about the situation, and we see Courtney coddle her. Monyetta calls Kenya, and Kenya lets it be known that she's upset about how basically Sheree and Monyetta allowed the ladies to come to her room and to bang on the door and do stuff like that. Kenya is then telling Monyetta, because Monyetta is like, this girl is crazy. And she's like, I already told you that she's a snake, but you fall for it every time. Moneta says she doesn't fall for it. She just has a superpower, which is being kind to others. Kenya asks, why did they do that? And I think that it's interesting that she's asking Moneta this, because Moneta didn't do anything wrong in this situation. You want to talk to her and Sheree had something to do with it. Sheree wasn't yelling the way that Marlow was, but we did see Sheree knock on the door, and we did see her kick it. They even showed it last week's episode, and they showed it again this week's episode. So to me, knowing that Moneta said that she texted her and let her know that the girls were trying to come to the room, what more did you want her to do? Take this problem up with Marlow and production and Sheree, because she has something to do with it. At this point, Kenya says on the phone that she just wants her core group of friends to be there, which she's calling Moneta and Sheree, even though we know Sheree's not her friend. We find out that Marlow sent Kenya a nasty text message because she's telling Courtney, and she feels like she wants to put it on Instagram and all these other things. And I feel like there was no point in sending Kenya the message, because you've done enough. Like, why continue to go down this path? Why are you continue to argue? And it's not that deep. All of this because they want to know what else is planned or what Kenya is possibly hiding. Sonia sits down and she basically talks on the phone and asks, Kenya, what should I do? Should I go? Should I come back? And all that other stuff. And Kenya says, you should just go. And I'm with Kenya, because after everything that's gone on and how she now isn't feeling well, there is no point in her to stay there. Then Sheree tries to justify why the girls are upset, saying they feel like you're hiding something. And my question is, who cares? Even if she is hiding something, that is not a justification to act the way that they acted. We then hear Kenya tell Sheree that she was going to be performing during the halftime show at the Classic, and Sheree's like, that's great and all these other things, and that's all you had to do was tell them. And I just don't see why we're still excusing this behavior. We then see Marlow sitting on the couch saying that she's pissed at herself for letting Kenya take control of her. Marlow takes no accountability for anything that she does. It's always everyone else's fault, and I'm kind of over it. Her life coach kind of told her when they were on the phone that that's something that she needs to work on, but even then she didn't call her out as much as I think she should have. Sonia then walks over and lets Courtney them know that Kenya's told her to leave, but she's leaving out other parts. You're leaving out the part where you asked her what you should do, because you've already made it be known that you have to do a job in the morning somewhere else, and you were going to come back, you said, after all that was done to watch the game. Kenya's not feeling well, so what really is the point of you staying there? It's no point in you driving 4 hours, coming back, then drive. It doesn't make sense. So you're making it seem like she said something crazy, but she didn't. Marlow then finds out from Sheree what she was hiding, and Marlow shades her and saying, like, it wouldn't have been a performance worth seeing. Look what she did at BravoCon. She then says that Moneta kisses more tail than Kenya eats. We see Drew leaving the hospital. Drew still has the flu. We then see Todd and Candy, and they're talking about their movie called The Past. They give a little background about the movie, and it seems like it may be interesting. She then mentions her mom, talking to her mom finally, and that even after talking to her mother didn't mention anything about BravoCon. We hear from Todd that it's getting old to his daughter, and that he's wondering about how the other kids will feel because it's already affecting her. Todd then says that he feels like she may be playing up to like the mean mother-in-law role for TV, and I feel like Todd shows more grace than I'm willing to show, because this has been going on for too long. Todd and Mama Joyce, in my eyes, will never be okay. Too much damage has been done. Candy mentions in confessional that she feels that Todd is passive and patient. and she's not that. And I said to myself, you're trying to use him being passive in regards to the things that your mom does and say like it's a bad thing, when really if it was anybody else, she would have been snapped on or told where she could go a long time ago. We're not going to sit here and act like Todd isn't being this way because he loves you, because I wouldn't do it. It's your job to check your mother, not his. You cannot expect him to fix problems that you cause, Candy. Mama Joyce is the problem. Cut her off. You and Todd have been married for 9 years. 9 years of marriage. And she's still allowed to disrespect him. There is no way that that should be okay. I told you already about Marlow lying to her life coach. The next day said that she did good, even though we saw her kicking doors, yelling outside, fussing outside, laughing obnoxiously in the hotel lobby while Monyetta was talking, doing all these things. We then see that Kenya got rushed to the ER around 9 a.m. We find out later that it was the flu. Kenya was worried while everything was going on because she was sore, she had numbness, all these other things. And one of the things that triggered her was that she recently had COVID. So I remember on the bus she was doing that cough. So it seems like this flu thing was something that was going around in Atlanta. Marlow and the rest of the girls seem concerned. Marlow prays for her. I'm going to be honest, and some of y'all might agree with it. I personally wouldn't want Marlow to pray for me just because she's so up and down. God doesn't like lukewarm people. We'll say that. Pick one or the other. That middle ground thing where 1 minute you okay with me and 1 minute you not, that wouldn't work for me. Monyetta gets triggered seeing Kenya in the hospital. She recently lost her mother, and because of it, it's bothering her, and that's understandable. Marlow sees that Monyetta is, upset, and she apologizes. At first, Monyetta kind of like, wait up, but they end up making up. And Monyetta, I need you to not allow these women to just try to run over you. It's okay for you to be kind, but don't be anyone's doormat. All this drama, and we got to see no Magic City Classic. Everybody leaves. Y'all go back. We see Sheree talking to Kenya, and despite being called out by producers for kicking the door and hitting the door, Sheree denies it. We then see Mama Joyce and Candy talking, and Candy basically is telling her what you did was wrong and you got to be better and whatever. And I feel like Mama Joyce really doesn't care about what Candy's saying. She never seems to take Candy seriously when she talks about Todd. The answer to me, what I wrote when it was going on, was therapy and accountability is needed. And it's so funny that Candy suggested that they go to therapy and her mother agrees. And I'm going to be honest, in my opinion, the both of them need therapy. Not the family first. I feel like Mama Joyce needs her own therapy. Candy needs her own therapy, because there is something very entangled about the way that Candy deals with her mom and the way that her mother deals with Candy. There's no way that my mother would be profiting off of me, getting anything from me, and she's as disrespectful as she is to my husband. There's no way. Candy needs to go to counseling, because there's some reason why she allows this to go on. And I'm saying she because she does allow it to go on. We then see Kenya, Drew, and Sheree go for a vitamin drip because everybody's sick. They talk about the issues between Drew and Sheree basically says she don't care for Drew because during a podcast interview, Drew talked about her she just took all the things from She by Sheree back, and that's not what she did. She took this particular purse that was hers. It wasn't supposed to be even given to Drew. She did gift them things, and that was, the one thing that she wanted back, and I don't really care about that. They talk about what happened to Drew and Kenya, and if not Kenya, to Drew and Marlow, and if Marlow was standing over her or she was sitting down, whatever way you want to put it. At some point, Marlow was being aggressive, and I know we hate that word aggressive, combative, whatever you want to say. Marlow lashed out at Drew. She did tower over her because she's significantly taller than Drew. She did get in her face. She did yell. She did use expletives, and it was wrong. So whether or not, Sheree wants to try to explain why she felt that way and it was because of the shooting and all the other things, it doesn't matter. Next week's episode seems like it's gonna get better. I really want something to change. Something just seems off, and we can't say it's because Kandi wasn't there, because Kandi was in this episode. I just feel like the friendships aren't organic on some avenues, and it doesn't seem like they're trying to work past things. I also think that it's a problem that producers allow for these false narratives to be put out. The fact that you all posted all these so-called receipts that that Marlow presented about Kandi in this conversation, and how you aren't being accurate, and you all didn't do your own research and reach out to Kandi and ask her about these things and see what she has, and you didn't show us what Kandi had and what all was said, lets me know that you guys are part of the problem and you're manipulating the situation. And I don't think we're going to see a kumbaya moment anytime soon. Sorry for how kind of all over the place, the angle, all these things. I'm getting all of my double chin. This review was, but I wanted to make sure I got it out there. Thanks for joining me. Let me know your thoughts below. How do you guys feel about this season thus far? Do you think that Kenya was wrong for threatening to call the police? Do you think that Marlow was wrong for going off the way that she did? How do you feel about Monyetta? Because I feel like they're not letting us see the true Monyetta, and I want to see more, because I've seen her on previous shows and she normally has a lot to say. Anyways, until next time.